Hey guys, Legendaray here, and welcome back to another Clash Royale video. Today, of course, we are bringing back the Xbow Mortar deck. This deck is honestly so much fun once you learn how to play it. The play style is so different, and it's just such a troll deck, but it can also really catch your opponents off guard. Of course, this is a bit of a cheaper variation than the one that I traditionally play, but I think the cheaper variation makes it a little bit more versatile in this current meta. In addition, once the Electro Spirit comes out, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like absolutely broken, so I might even sub that in for the skeleton. But before we get into some matches, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help me out, and with all that out of the way, let's get right into some matches. Alrighty, so this first match here against QTAHORN, and yeah, he's gonna be running a Golem Lightning deck. Now, sorry that these are not live. Unfortunately, when I played these matches, I was just unable to record them. But anyways here, starting off, you can see that I'm totally okay with going Mortar first play because it's only a 4 elixir card, and you can see here it does actually get me 1 Mortar hit. So as you can see here, Ice Wizard, he unfortunately NATOs everything in. I tried to get that the skeletons down to distract, and here I also make a little bit of a misplay. I try to activate King Tower with the Golemites. I'm not sure if you can, but my finger did slip 1 tile, so that might have been what it was. So yeah, he's gonna give me a little bit of a laughing emote here, and yeah, that new Electro Giant emote is honestly really annoying. But anyways here, I give him the good luck because he doesn't know I have the Xbow. And I'm just waiting for literally the perfect moment to play it down. So here, I go in with a defensive mortar, and he obviously thinks that my win condition is out of cycle. So of course, he's gonna golem in the back. And I just go ahead, Xbow immediately opposite lane, and yeah, he's gonna go in with a Mega Minion. Unfortunately, I make a bit of a misplay here on the timing of that Ice Wizard. Did not distract that Mega Minion in time, but we do get an Xbow lock onto the tower. You can see the opponent literally is at 0 elixir. He has no elixir to play any of his cards, and the Inferno Dragon will just completely disintegrate that golem. And as soon as that golem pops, the Inferno Dragon retargets onto the baby dragon, takes out the baby dragon, and just like that, I've literally shredded that entire push and have a mortar now in the opposite lane for a counter push. And so yeah, the mortar gonna start damaging down that goblin cage, and then once here the goblin cage pops, he actually goes in with a Night Witch, but I go in with a fireball, finish off the Night Witch right there, and I do get myself 1 more mortar hit onto the tower as we head towards double elixir time. So now this guy is probably thinking, what in the world am I facing? But of course I go in with an Xbow. Now that we're in double elixir time, it is a lot harder to break through. I could have tornadoed that golem backwards, but it was a little bit risky and I didn't really feel like doing it. Here, I thought about, yeah, here unfortunately lightning does get a lot of value in this deck. I can't deny it. Once you figure out that your opponents have the lightning spell, you're gonna have to be a lot more careful with how you space out your units. In addition, you can also use your bowler to lightning block. That's actually something that you might not expect, but the bowler has, you know, probably the highest HP out of all the cards in this deck. So let's say you have like an Ice Wizard or something. You can actually play down a bowler to lightning block it so that the Ice Wizard doesn't get taken out. Anyways here, I digress. Back to this defense. As you can see, I did get myself a King Tower activation. Here, as he has the lightning onto that Inferno Dragon. I'm spacing out my units so that he cannot get tower damage. And here, as you can see, a center-placed Golem allows me to sneak another Mortar Lock onto the tower. Inferno Dragon's gonna finish off the Golem here. And I believe I also fireball, yeah, I fireball the rest of this out, and it's just gone, no big deal. So now, again, I think I'm just gonna defensive Xbow here. Know how every single time I play a defensive Xbow, it's going to be in the anti-lightning position. That way he cannot get damage onto my weaker tower. That doesn't end up really mattering because he ends up pushing towards my stronger tower, but as you can see here, I try to do the bowler thing where I lightning block with the Ice Wizard, but he just chooses not to lightning the tower, which is really well played on his end. However, here, I'm just gonna NATO everything back, and yeah, I'm gonna go in with a mortar as well, and as soon as that golem pops, I think I'm just gonna fireball onto it, and that is going to finish everything off like so. So as you can see, Ice Wizard NATO, just such a clean defense. Bowler provides all the tankage you need. And then NATO followed by the 2 buildings just means that you can distract the golem indefinitely. So anyways here, once again, Xbow in the anti-lightning position, Inferno Dragon up high so that he has the lightning onto that Inferno Dragon, and One more important thing as well is try to angle that bowler correctly. Just like the magic archer, the bowler's boulder actually travels very, very far. So when you angle that correctly, it can completely just like roll through an entire push, and like it's not even funny. So here I'm just gonna go in with an Xbow here. 29 seconds left. I'm just trying to force him to constantly be on defense, and yeah, you get some valuable lightning here, but 20 seconds left. Things are looking pretty good here. So I get a second Ice Wizard down. He gets another baby dragon. He NATOs everything together, but yeah, 14 seconds left. My right tower's in full health. My left tower's down to 16-14, which is also perfectly fine. So yeah, bowler down here. I just go ahead and NATO everything together. Ice Wizard down, and yeah, as you can see, that just completely shreds that defense, and a very, very comfortable win right there, just from getting some really nice locks in the early game of the match. Alrighty, next up we're gonna be against Kapala Batu, and this man is running Lava Loon. Now, if you hate Lava Loon and you just want a hard counter it every single time while ruining the Lava Hound player's day, well then this is your deck to go. This deck absolutely counters Lava Hound, just tears it apart, because first off, Lava Hound players won't have much ground answers, meaning that your Xbow and your Mortar have a much higher chance of locking on. In addition to that, a lot of Lava Hound players are not expecting you to run things such as the Inferno Dragon, and that's really what you're going to have to capitalize on if you want to win these matches. So as you can see here, he's going to Lava Hound in the back, and of course I just Xbow right into it, and he's going to want to play something to take out the Xbow, right? So as soon as that Inferno Dragon locks on to my Xbow, I just play my Inferno Dragon, and it's just going to absolutely shred his Inferno Dragon. And now you look at his hand. He has absolutely nothing to take down my Inferno Dragon, except for the lightning, which he does use, but it's kind of pointless. And as you can see, he literally has no way of just countering my Inferno Dragon. That entire push just got shredded, and I go in with a Mortar to just get myself a nice little lock onto the tower. I could have probably played the Mortar a little bit later, and that may have gotten me a couple more hits, but overall, that is just fine. So here, he's going to, I believe, yeah, I didn't want to play the Ice Wizard in the back because I knew he was running an air deck, so I didn't want to waste my air counter. And you can see it paying off here, as I really would have needed that Ice Wizard on this defense. So as you can see, a Fireball there, followed up by an Ice Wizard, was actually going to be just enough to counter that balloon. And that's actually going to be an insane defense right there that I completely did not expect to work out. I totally thought the balloon would get a hit, but I digress. Anyways, here he gets a Valkyrie down to take down the bowler here, and I try and go into the Mortar in the center to pull the Valkyrie, but unfortunately I played it a little bit too late, and the Valkyrie does get, I believe, 3 hits onto my tower. So once again here, I go in with an Inferno Dragon to take out his Inferno Dragon. And then I go in with an Xbow here on offense that forces out a lightning out of him. Unfortunately, my Inferno Dragon is out of hand, but this deck has a deceptively fast cycle, so I can cycle back to another Inferno Dragon, and you can see here I'm only 1 card away from it. So Mortar here in a position that will pull both the Lava Hound and the Balloon. Inferno Dragon up high, and then I believe I NATO everything together, and then just Fireball out the Lava Pups, as well as the 2 dragons. And you can see here, his push is just getting completely eaten up. Inferno Dragon takes care of all the tanks. Ice Wizard NATO takes out pretty much all the swarms. And yeah, 12 seconds left. I just pull that balloon back towards the Mortar. 8 seconds left. No way he's breaking through to my tower. And as you can see, a nice and easy win against Lava Hound. So all in all, it's a relatively easy matchup, so not too much, honestly, to explain here. Alright, next up, we're going to be against Maximum from a Japanese clan, and this man is running, what's it called? A Giant Skeleton Royal Giant Bait with the Earthquake. So, this man obviously hates his siege. So we're going to go ahead and ruin his day here with a double siege deck. So, starting off here, I Ice Wizard onto the Goblin Barrel because I knew he was in that far position, and then here unfortunately I go in with a Mortar and he just Royal Giants straight into it. That's not all that bad, however, because Obviously, now his Royal Giant is out of cycle, so for me, this was an absolutely prime moment to go in with an Xbow, which is what I did, but little did I know he had both a Giant Skeleton as well as an Earthquake. So he plops the Giant Skeleton in front, absolutely ruins my day. He plops down the Earthquake, and I'm just like, oh my god. Luckily here, as you can see, I angled that bowler properly so that the boulder of the bowler would take out the princess, and now I go in with a mortar in the center, knowing that his Royal Giant is just out of cycle. And he goes in with a hunter. Unfortunately, he does misplay it. And yeah, the mortar is going to get 2 hits onto the tower. This is one thing I really like about mortaring in the center right at the bridge, because a lot of players will play something directly at the bridge in front of the mortar, and that's actually going to be inside the blind range. Anyways, here I just go ahead and get myself a nice and easy king tower activation from the goblin barrel, and things are looking pretty good. I'm just a little bit ahead in damage. Unfortunately, that princess is going to take that damage lead back towards his end, but things are looking all right. But yeah, of course, I'm honestly really worried because he's running Royal Giant, Goblin Giant, Giant Skeleton, and Earthquake. So here, unfortunately, I've had to fireball out those bats and take a Royal Giant hit there. I honestly wasn't sure if he had like anything to reset the Inferno Dragon, then the bats would have just taken out the Inferno Dragon. So I didn't want to risk that, so I had to fireball there. And now as we head towards double elixir time, I believe I'm going to go in here with a Xbow on defense in the anti-earthquake position. And of course, we're just going to go in, I think, with a mortar as soon as that earthquake expires. So mortar down, he's going to go in with a giant skeleton. Just Inferno Dragon up high. I want to damage that down as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, of course, he's got the Royal Giant. So that's a big rip in the chat. But anyways here, so yeah, Ice Wizard down, followed up by some skeletons will very effectively take us down, and now I go in with an Xbow, and look at this, he has nothing in cycle. So I go in with an Xbow up high, mortar as well. I thought he was going to earthquake on the tower and the Xbow, that's why I played the mortar. I just NATO that hunter in to damage it down quicker. And I just barely sneak an Xbow lock onto the tower, and by this time I've already cycled back to another Xbow, so I just immediately play it as soon as I can. Xbow goes down, and as you can see, I have a really healthy Inferno Dragon, so if he Giant Skeleton, then the Inferno Dragon's just going to completely disintegrate that Giant Skeleton. Xbow locks onto the tower, everything just goes down, and boom, Fireball finishes off the game like so. So as you can see, by constantly cycling the 2 siege cards, he literally could not keep up with my offense, even though he had Giant Skeleton and the Royal Giant, as well as that Earthquake. Alrighty, next up against Eminem, and he's going to be running a Mortar Hog deck. This is kind of the classic Mortar Hog deck. So anyways, he starts off here with a mortar here, so I Ice Wizard there, not the best hand, and I also have to NATO the bats back just to damage them down because I didn't really want to play my bowler just yet. So unfortunately, not the best start for me here. I mean, luckily, obviously, he doesn't have his Hog in cycle yet, but at this point, I'm honestly kind of clueless as to what he is playing, because, I mean, I honestly don't like recognize this deck at all, at least until he shows his Hog Rider. So I believe, yeah, he plays his Hog here. I'm just like, well, that's a bummer. So I mortar in the center, trying to get a little bit of an offense going, but as you can see, he also mortars as well. And yeah, that's going to finish off that bowler, that mortar as well. The bowler is really tanky, so you can honestly really rely on him to provide most of the tankage in this deck. So as you can see here, I'm gonna save the NATO so that I can get myself a King Tower activation next time. And one important note with this deck is I always like to make sure that my second siege card comes as a surprise. So starting off here, I've already showed my mortar. He's gonna waste his Valkyrie, so I do Xbow opposite lane because Valkyrie's a big tank, right? It's such a tanky troop. And here, I didn't think he had a Musketeer, which is why I mortared in the center. Looking back, this is an absolutely terrible move. I mean, if he hadn't played the Musketeer, that would have been a great move, but he played the Musketeer. So here, I just go in, I believe, with a bowler in the center to distract that Musketeer. I'm gonna take one Hog hit, but I will get myself a King Tower activation, so in my eyes, that is completely justified, and it's gonna help me out for the rest of this match. So Now that we're heading towards double elixir time, things are going to get a little bit interesting because his deck cycles very, very fast, but my deck also has a kind of a fast cycle a little bit in a sense because I have 2 siege cards, which means that I can actually cycle twice as fast as my deck looks like it can. Anyways, here he goes in with a Hog Rider here. Tower takes down the Musketeer. Luckily for me, I just NATO everything back, clear out those bats as well. And I believe I go in with an Xbow opposite lane here, maybe? Okay, yeah, I do go an Xbow opposite lane. I also bowler as well, just trying to predict the Musketeer. I do predict that Musketeer, but unfortunately, the Valkyrie comes down, and the Valkyrie is just such a tanky troop that I have nothing to do. Inferno Dragon will finish that off. But you can see here, I mean, that push is just completely gone. So yeah, Ice Wizard down here. I will take 1 hog hit, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then he goes in with a mortar opposite lane. So I go into the defensive mortar, anti-fireball position here. And yeah, that will be enough to actually take out that mortar. So I'm not too worried there. Now, once again, I predict his Musketeer here with my bowler. He's going to go in with a Hog once again, but actually, does he go in with a Hog? I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, he goes in with a Mortar, actually. So I just go Skeletons to distract. Fireball as well to damage down that Mortar as soon as possible, and I get myself a little Xbow lock onto the tower. So that's a pretty good push, and it will give me the damage lead. So now, I go in with the defensive Mortar. That's actually a bait to bait out his Musketeer. I knew he had a Musketeer, so he would try and snipe out that mortar. And as you can see, with that Musketeer out of cycle, I just go into the defensive Xbow. And I mean, what can he do, right? What can he do? He can try and hog in to damage it down, and I believe that's what he does. Yeah, he hogs in to try and damage that down, but I just go ahead and NATO everything backwards here, bowl it down to do some extra tankage, and yeah, the Xbow will take out his defensive mortar, and I go in with an offensive mortar of my own. And here he does make a misplay here. He plays the Valkyrie right in range of that bowler there. So the bowler gets 3 big bowls onto the tower, actually just 2, my mistake, and then Mortar also gets a hit as well. So his tower's down to 1600, he tries to hog opposite lane, but of course I have the NATO, so I just NATO everything backwards, clear out the bats, and pretty easy defense. 40 seconds left in this match. Xbow takes out his defensive mortar, and he tries to switch lanes here, which is honestly a pretty smart move. It almost caught me here, but I managed to get a defensive mortar down. I get another bowler down, and you can see the bowler is just so tanky that it's going to survive, I think, this entire defense. So yeah, 20 seconds left is all I have left to hold on. I just don't need to take that much damage here, so I go in with an Ice Wizard. I believe I fireball out the Hog Rider so it doesn't get any hits here. Oh no, the Hog does get 1 hit, but 10 seconds left, bowler down, there's no way that Mortar's breaking through. His Hog is in cycle, but it's gonna go for my defensive Mortar. So as you can see, pretty simple win by literally getting a couple of locks onto the tower and then just playing some solid defense. Alright, so there we go. Those are a couple of matches there of some pretty textbook examples of how I would play each of these matchups. As you can see, all in all, it's a relatively solid deck. It does take a little bit to adjust to because the playstyle is very much different to what you would traditionally expect out of a deck. But yeah, it's definitely worth a try because it's just so much fun to use. But unfortunately, guys, that's all I've got time for in today's episode. Huge thanks to all of my channel members. You guys are the absolute G's. If you enjoyed, please leave a like down below as well as a subscription to my channel. And as always, this is Legendaray, and I'm signing off. See you guys next time.